Infinite is sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone while some ads play on the TV in the background. He looks up as Nazo walks in, jokingly rolling his eyes. Look who finally decided to grace me with their presence. He teases while keeping his eyes on his phone. Infinite scoffs as he finally looks away from his phone, raising an eyebrow. Oh, and what were you busy with today to ignore your favorite stepbrother? He asked in a sarcastic tone. Infinite's ears flick up in interest, his teasing tone softening slightly. Wait, hold on. He tosses his phone onto the couch and leans forward. You were on a mission? And you didn't even text me? His voice is still sharp, but there's a hint of concern under the annoyance. What kind of reckless shit did you pull this time? Infinite rolls his eyes again, leaning back into the couch with a scoff. Of course, you'll do anything for a quick buck, won't you? He sighs, shaking his head slightly. Did you even think about your safety first? Or are you just trying to get yourself killed? Infinite's expression darkens instantly, his tail stiffening behind him. A crown. He repeats, voice dangerously low. You stole from royalty for cash? Nazo. He pinches the bridge of his nose between two fingers. Do you have a death wish or are you just that stupid? Infinite freezes, his mismatched eyes widening slightly before narrowing into a sharp glare. You what? He leans forward so fast the couch creaks, gripping the edge of it with white-knuckled intensity. Nazo, tell me you didn't just rob from a king right now. Or I swear to God. Infinite stares at Nazo in disbelief for a few more moments before releasing a heavy sigh, leaning back. Are you trying to give me a heart attack? He grumbles, rubbing between his eyes. You really need to learn how to phrase things better, idiot. Infinite snorts, crossing his arms over his chest. Yeah, you've never been great at speaking. He teases, a slight smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Infinite opens his mouth to argue, but clamps it shut, scowling. He knows Nazo's not wrong. Yeah, well, at least I don't almost give people heart attacks every 5 minutes. His tail flicks behind him. Infinite bristles at Nazo's threat, his smirk dropping as he narrows his eyes. Don't threaten me, jackass. He growls out, tail lashing irritatedly behind him. You and I both know there's no way you're gonna snitch on me, so drop it. Plus, I can take you any day. Infinite scoffs, ears pinning back as he glares at Nazo. Please, you couldn't even touch me. He stands up, crossing his arms over his chest while his tail flicks behind him. And you're one to talk about bad terms. You work for the same damn agency as two people I put behind bars. So before going around threatening me, check yourself first. Infinite freezes, his eyes widening for a split second before he regains his composure. It's not something you need to know. He grumbles, turning his head to glare at the wall and avoiding Nazo's piercing gaze. Infinite bristles, tail lashing behind him. You're not gonna drop it, are you? He mutters through clenched teeth, glaring over his shoulder at Nazo. Fine. He huffs. Vector was involved in a gun smuggling ring and Charmy was a hired gun. Happy? Infinite grits his teeth, annoyed at the way Nazo just brushed it off like that. He shakes himself, letting out an irritated snort. Spaghetti and meatballs. He grumbles. I mean, Infinite narrows his eyes, tail flicking in frustration. Okay? No questions? No more threats about missions or smuggling rings? He leans forward slightly, suspicious of the sudden compliance. Infinite's ears twitch slightly, his glare softening just a fraction. He huffs, turning back toward the kitchen. But if you're not hungry enough to talk about it now, don't expect me to make anything for you later. His tone is sharp, but there's an undercurrent of concern he won't admit to. Infinite snorts, crossing his arms and looking away. It's nothing, he grumbles, just a bad day. He mumbles, tail flicking as he glances at Nazo before looking away again. It is quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he mutters out, "Just some annoying people got on my nerves." He's usually pretty good at controlling his temper, but today was definitely more frustrating than usual. He had to put up with a lot of idiots and his patience was just running thin. Infinite stiffens slightly at the mention of Charmy, his tail giving a sharp flick. "Yeah," he mutters after a pause, still not looking directly at Nazo. He cuts himself off with an annoyed huff, "That's different. You don't have to deal with her for work anymore, do you?" Infinite finally turns to look at Nazo, his mismatched eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Right now?" he repeats, voice sharp. "What the hell does that mean? Did you—" His tail lashes once behind him as he cuts off again, clearly not wanting to finish that thought out loud. Infinite's expression darkens, his eyes narrowing to slits. 7 hours is plenty of time for you to get into trouble, jackass, he growls out, standing up and crossing his arms over his chest. What kind of work do you have to do in 7 hours, He takes a step closer to Nazo, towering over him slightly with a glare. Infinite scoffs in disbelief. Bullshit. He's not buying it for 1 second. You expect me to believe you have a cleaning job that lasts 7 hours and requires you to be there? His glare sharpens as he crosses. Infinite scoffs in disbelief. Bullshit. He's not buying it for 1 second. You expect me to believe you have a cleaning job that lasts 7 hours and requires you to be there? His glare sharpens as he crosses his arms and taps his foot irritatedly. Try again, smartass. Infinite's eye twitches, his tail lashing behind him. Paperwork. He repeats flatly, voice dripping with disbelief. For 7 hours? He leans in closer, fangs bared slightly as he growls out, Nazo. I swear to God if you're lying to me right now. Infinite scoffs, standing up straight and crossing his arms. You're telling me it takes a whole 7 hours for you to do some paperwork? Bullshit. He narrows his eyes, glaring down at Nazo. You expect me to believe you're at Chitex doing paperwork for 7 hours with no other work involved whatsoever? Do I look like an idiot to you? Infinite rolls his eyes, tail lashing, frustrated. Oh, come on, he grumbles. You paperwork for 7 hours, he snorts. You'd get distracted within 5 minutes. Infinite scoffs, crossing his arms. So you're doing grunt work, filing papers and such. He leans against the wall, giving Nazo a hard stare. That's why you're there for 7 hours, doing a job a child could accomplish in an hour. Infinite barks out an irritated laugh. Of course she does. He grumbles, shaking his head at the mention of the yellow nuisance. But that still doesn't explain why you have to be there for so long. What, Chadix don't have security to keep her out while you work? Infinite's eye twitches. Of course they don't. He takes a deep breath, trying to control his temper. He's not mad at Nazo, not really, but the idea of that annoying bug making everything a nightmare for his stepbrother just sets him off. Well, what about your boss? Can't you ask him to stop her from messing with your work? Infinite stiffens, his tail lashing violently behind him. Espio, he repeats, voice dangerously low. That bastard is your boss now? He cuts himself off with a sharp growl, pacing a few steps before turning back to glare at Nazo. Nazo, you're telling me you work under the guy who put Charmy in charge of paperwork security, and you didn't think to mention this sooner? Infinite grits his teeth, trying to keep his temper in check. He's not angry at Nazo, but he sure as hell is pissed at Espio. How could his stepbrother work under someone like that and not say anything about it till now? How long? He finally growls out, stepping closer to Nazo and gripping his shoulders tightly. How long have you been working under that bastard? Infinite stares down at Nazo in disbelief and anger. 2 weeks. 2 whole weeks you've been working for him, and you didn't think to tell me till now. His voice rose in volume, grip tightening on Nazo's shoulders as he glares. Infinite freezes, his grip loosening slightly. His expression shifts from anger to something more conflicted, guilt, frustration. He lets out a sharp exhale through his nose. That doesn't matter, he mutters, looking away. I should have been here for you. His tail flicks once before he finally lets go of Nazo entirely and crosses his arms over himself defensively. Infinite's ears flatten against his skull, a low growl rumbling in his chest. You're damn right we do. He glares at the floor for a moment before snapping his gaze back up to Nazo. Espio is not getting away with this. Not when it involves you. His tail lashes once behind him as he steps closer again, voice dropping to something more serious, more dangerous. We're finding out who they send on missions, and I swear on my life if that bastard so much as looks at you wrong. Infinite's entire body goes rigid, his ears pinning as a sharp, furious growl rips from his throat. Vector. He repeats the name like it's poison on his tongue. His mismatched eyes burn with rage as he grabs Nazo by the shoulders again. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to make sure Nazo is looking right at him when he speaks next. Listen to me very carefully. You are not going on another mission with that bastard. Not ever. Do you understand? Infinite scoffs, ears flicking at the "sir" comment in spite of himself. He doesn't relax his grip on Nazo, though. He's still far too pissed off at Espio. Damn right, yes, sir. He grumbles, tail lashing agitatedly. Because I meant it. You are never going on a mission with Vector. Or anyone from Chadex, for that matter. You're sticking with me, he huffs, finally loosening his grip slightly. I'll be damned if I let you get hurt because of some bastard boss. Infinite huffs, tail still lashing behind him. He's clearly reluctant to give up any missions, but he's not willing to risk Nazo's safety for some cash either. It can wait. He growls out, finally letting go of Nazo and straightening up. You're more important than some stupid bounties. Besides, I got plenty of money from my last mission. We're fine without me doing a job for a while. Infinite freezes, his entire body going stiff. His ears pin back against his skull as a sharp growl rumbles in his chest. His voice is dangerously low, barely above a whisper but filled with something violent. He steps closer to Nazo again, eyes burning with fury as he grips the front of Nazo's shirt tightly in one fist. Nazo, what did Vector make you do? Tell me right now. Infinite's eye twitches, a low, furious hiss escaping him. He's practically seeing red now, his whole body taut with anger. He made you clean his shoes for an hour? His grip tightens on Nazo's shirt as he practically snarls out. What kind of bullshit did he feed you to justify making you do that? Infinite's eye twitches again, his grip tightening even further. Paying bills is a bullshit excuse. He just did that to humiliate you. He's practically trembling with anger, fangs bared as he glares down at Nazo. And you let him. He hisses out, voice venomous. He's angry, not at Nazo though. At Vector. At himself for not being there. Infinite lets out a sharp huff, ears flattening against his skull again. Oh, come on. That's bullshit and you know it. You really think it's normal for your boss to make you clean his shoes for an hour? He scoffs, finally letting go of Nazo and crossing his arms with a growl. That jackass was just messing with you, taking advantage of you because he knows you don't have experience. You don't just do whatever your boss says. Infinite grumbles at that, arms still defensively crossed over his chest. He still hasn't relaxed, his tail lashing behind him furiously. Damn right you do, he grumbles, shooting a glare in the general direction of the Chatex agency. Just promise me you won't let that douche do that again. You are not cleaning his damn shoes again, or rubbing his feet, or any other humiliating nonsense. Got it? Infinite relaxes slightly at Nazo's agreement before barking out a sharp laugh at the sir comment. Would you quit it with the sir crap? He snaps, giving Nazo a light smack to the side of his head. Cut it out. You're making me feel old. Infinite's ears shoot straight up, his entire body stiffening for a second as he processes that. What? He repeats, voice dropping to something dangerously quiet. His tail is completely still now, no lashing, no movement at all. Just tension. Then it hits him. You mean to tell me you thought I was making you do the same shit? That I would... His grip on Nazo's shirt tightens again as he practically snarls. Is that why you never said anything about this before? Because you thought I was the one pulling this crap too? Infinite reels back just slightly, his grip loosening on Nazo as a wave of guilt washes over him. He had been so angry, he hadn't even stopped to think about Nazo's perspective. Nazo thought they were the same as the assholes at Shadix. No wonder he hadn't said anything. No wonder he was so willing to do Vector's stupid chores without complaint. He lets out a deep sigh, finally releasing Nazo and taking a step back. Nazo, look at me. Infinite fixes Nazo with a serious look, eyes narrowing slightly. He seems to be choosing his next words carefully. I need you to listen to me very carefully now. He pauses for a moment, making absolutely sure that he has Nazo's undivided attention before continuing. I am not Vector. I am not some boss who's gonna treat you like crap. I would never make you do anything like that. His expression softens a bit as he lowers his voice. Understand? Infinite seems satisfied with that answer, his expression and body language slowly beginning to relax. He lets out a sigh, finally releasing his tight grip on Nazo entirely. The tension in the air slowly starts to ease. He mutters, still looking at Nazo intently. There's a moment of silence before he continues. Look, I'm sorry for getting angry before. He lets out a frustrated breath, shaking his head. I should have been here. I should have known what those bastards were doing to you. Infinite stiffens at that, his ears pinning back again. He's clearly not okay with the idea of being helpless in this situation. That doesn't matter. He growls out stubbornly. I could have checked on you. Called to make sure you weren't getting screwed over by those Chadix bastards while I was gone. His tail flicks once behind him as he scowls down at the floor for a moment before looking back up at Nazo. But fine. Whatever, it is what it is now. Still pisses me off though. Infinite grumbles at that, but finally seems to accept the situation. Yeah. You have to leave for the hellhole again tomorrow, he huffs, crossing his arms again. Just be careful tomorrow, will you? I don't trust those Chadex jackals as far as I could throw them. He scowls down at the floor again, tail lashing once behind him. I'm dropping by there tomorrow morning to have a little chat with Espio. Good, Infinite murmurs, still scowling down at nothing in particular. The thought of Nazo going back to the Chaix building tomorrow morning is doing absolutely nothing good for his temper. He's still trying to keep it in check, though. Just promise me you won't let Vector or Espio give you any crap tomorrow, alright? I swear, if either one of them so much as looks at you weird, you come find me immediately. Got it? Infinite huffs, finally relenting a little. He steps back and gives Nazo space to leave. Fine. Go sleep then, idiot. He mutters gruffly. But I swear on my life, if you don't come find me the second one of those Chadix pricks so much as breathes in your direction tomorrow, he trails off with a sharp glare before turning away and heading toward his own room. Infinite shuts the door behind himself the minute he's in his room, collapsing back on the bed with a scowl. He's still pissed at Vector and Espio, especially Vector. He's still angry with himself for not noticing what was going on. He hates the thought of Nazo going back to those assholes tomorrow. What if something happens? What if one of them hurts him again? It's all just too much. Infinite runs a hand down his face, trying to relax, but he can't. He's got too many thoughts bouncing around in his head. Infinite is up bright and way too early in the morning. It's barely 7 a.m. and he's already wide awake. He's on edge, restless. He's worried about what could happen to Nazo at the Chatex agency today. He's still pissed off about the whole thing to begin with. He's been pacing his room for a good part of the morning, almost obsessively checking the time and trying to keep himself from going over there too early. He can't help it. He's worried about Nazo. He doesn't trust those Chatex assholes. Infinite stops mid-pace when he hears the front door open. His head snaps toward the sound, ears perking up slightly as he waits to see if it's Nazo returning home. If it is, his expression shifts from irritation to concern in an instant. "Nazo," he calls out, already moving toward the hallway before even getting a response. "What are you doing back so early? Did something happen?" Infinite freezes in the hallway, his entire body going rigid. His mismatched eyes widen slightly as he processes Nazo's words. "You what?" A beat of stunned silence passes before Infinite practically lunges forward, grabbing Nazo by the shoulders again. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to make sure he's looking right at him when he speaks next. "Nazo, did you just say you quit Chatex? For real?" Infinite stares down at him, completely stunned for a moment. His brain is having an internal debate with itself. On the one hand, Infinite is beyond happy that Nazo left that hellhole for good. Nazo, you realize you just committed arson, right? Infinite's expression shifts from stunned disbelief to something much more dangerous, something between awe and sheer panic. Nazo, he hisses out, grip tightening on his stepbrother's shoulders as he leans in closer. Are you serious right now? You just torched a Chadic's office? They're gonna track that shit back to us, and I mean fast. A beat of silence passes before Infinite groans, dragging a hand down his face in frustration. I swear to God, if we go down for this, I am blaming you entirely. Infinite's entire body stiffens, his ears pinning back against his skull. His mismatched eyes narrow into sharp slits as he stares down at Nazo. You what? A beat of dead silence passes before Infinite suddenly lets out a furious growl, dragging both hands through his hair in frustration. Nazo, are you telling me you just committed arson and then decided to brag about it? You could have led with the I quit part before admitting to burning the damn place down. He huffs sharply, tail lashing behind him violently as he glares at nothing in particular. I swear on my life, if we go down for this because of your big mouth. Infinite stops mid-panic, his ears flicking slightly as he processes Nazo's words. His glare softens into something more skeptical, less angry, and more calculating. Wait. He tilts his head, studying Nazo carefully. You're telling me you shape-shifted to do it? Like, no one saw the real you there at all, not even SBO or Vector caught a glimpse of anything suspicious? A beat passes before Infinite lets out a slow breath through gritted teeth, finally relaxing just slightly. Fine. That's actually pretty smart of you for once in your life, I mean. Not that I'm condoning arson here, but at least we won't be going down for it if they trace it back to us like that. Infinite's eyes narrow slightly, his tail flicking in thought as he processes the information. So you're saying we've got a few days before they get back? He mutters, still clearly not happy about the whole situation but reluctantly accepting that it might actually work out for them. He sighs heavily and runs a hand down his face again, half exhausted from stress, half impressed by Nazo's sheer audacity. Fine. You did this. But if even one hint of suspicion comes up when those idiots come back, if SBO so much as looks at me funny, I am blaming you entirely. Got it? Infinite lets out a slow, deep breath, partly in relief, partly in resignation. He's still not entirely comfortable with the situation, but at least he knows they won't be getting caught. All right, fine. He grumbles finally. If you're sure no one saw anything and it'll stay that way, then I guess we got lucky this time around. A pause as Infinite shoots Nazo a sharp look before adding, but if SBO or Vector so much as glances at us when they get back, that's on you too for even thinking about pulling this shit to begin with. Infinite rolls his eyes in spite of himself, well, obviously. He mutters, crossing his arms over his chest. And they'll probably assume it was some disgruntled employee or competitor or something if they never knew you were there, right? That does actually make it better. I guess they'll have a lot more to worry about than us. He shoots Nazo a warning glare before grumbling under his breath. You're still a goddamn idiot, though, you know that, right? Infinite huffs, his expression shifting into something between irritation and reluctant admiration. He's still angry that Nazo pulled a stunt like this, but he can't help being impressed by his recklessness. No matter how crazy he is, Nazo does have a certain amount of guts to him. Yeah, whatever you say, jackass. He says, his voice a mix of resigned and begrudgingly respectful. Just don't pull any more crap like that again, you hear me? Infinite's tail flicks sharply, his ears pinning back in frustration. See? That's all you have to say for yourself? He groans loudly, dragging a hand down his face again before glaring at Nazo with narrowed eyes. Fine. I'm not even gonna argue anymore. Clearly you're too stubborn and reckless to listen anyway. Just swear on your life that if Espio or Vector so much as suspicion us, you won't pull another stunt like this again without telling me first. Infinite's eyes widen slightly, taken aback by the sheer boldness of the statement. He's well aware that Nazo is more than capable of taking down Espio or Vector if he needed to, but the implications here are not lost on him. He stares at Nazo for a long moment, studying him, before finally responding. What do you mean, take them out? Are you talking about killing them or just knocking them out? Infinite's eyes widen even more, a look of genuine surprise crossing his face. He was expecting a cocky comment about knocking them out or something, not this. Nazo's already proven to be somewhat of a loose cannon, and now he's casually talking about killing Vector and Espio like it's nothing. That's new and incredibly concerning. A long moment passes in stunned silence before Infinite finally manages to find his voice again. Nazo, you can't just... We're not killing Espio and Vector. Infinite freezes, his entire body going rigid as the unfamiliar voice echoes from Nazo. His ears pin back against his skull, pupils shrinking to slits in pure alarm. That wasn't Nazo. He takes a sharp step back, grip tightening on whatever he's holding, a book, a knife. He can't even remember right now. Nazo? His voice is low and dangerous, barely above a whisper but laced with warning. What the hell was that just now? Infinite's entire body locks up, his tail bristling violently behind him. That wasn't just a voice coming from Nazo, it was something else entirely. His grip on whatever he's holding, a knife? A book? He doesn't even know anymore, tightens to the point of shaking as he glares at Nazo with pure, unfiltered suspicion. Who the heck was that talking through you? He demands sharply, taking another step back, ready to bolt or fight in an instant. Infinite's breath hitches, his entire body going still as the eerie voice lingers in the air. His ears flatten against his skull, tail bristling to twice its normal size. Nazo, he says carefully, voice low and dangerous. That better be you right now. Or I swear on my life I will end whatever just crawled out of your damn mouth. A beat passes before Infinite takes another step back, eyes narrowing into sharp slits. You got 5 seconds to explain who or what was just talking through you before I start assuming things are about to go very wrong for someone here. Infinite barely has time to process the warning before a blast of something, energy, fire, magic, hits him straight in the chest, sending him flying a few feet back into the nearest wall with force. The impact knocks all the air out of his lungs, leaving him struggling to gasping for air for a good few seconds. When he finally manages to get back onto his feet, dazed and disoriented in the aftermath of the mysterious attack, the first thing he does is look around for Nazo. Nazo! Infinite stares at the empty spot where Nazo once was, completely stunned and disoriented. Everything happened so fast, he's struggling to make sense of it all right now. His head is spinning, vision blurry. He can barely stand, let alone think straight. He slumps back against the wall for a moment, taking in ragged, gasping breaths. He desperately scans the empty space around him, hoping, praying, that maybe he just missed Nazo somehow, or that he's just around the corner, or... Infinite's blood runs cold the second the news report flashes on screen. His entire body locks up, his ears pinning back violently as he stares at the smoldering ruins of a town. No. His voice is barely above a whisper, rough and strangled. No, that can't be real. That's not possible. A sharp breath hitches in his throat as Infinite staggers forward toward the TV, hands shaking so badly that he nearly drops whatever he was holding. A knife? He doesn't even know anymore. Nazo, where are you? What did you do? Infinite's heart drops into the pit of his stomach as the knock on the door snaps him out of his daze. He whips around, ears pricked in alarm. His head is still spinning, his entire body still shaking like a freaking leaf, but his mind is at least clear enough to register who's outside. He rushes over to the door, pulling it open. Standing there in all his cocky glory is Sonic the Hedgehog. There's a moment where Infinite just stares at him, too overwhelmed and rattled to come up with anything better than a weak little, "Hey." Sonic quirks an eyebrow as he takes in Infinite's shaken state, concern and confusion etched across his face. "You all right there, buddy? You look like someone just dropped a ton of bricks on you," he remarks with a mix of worry and sarcasm. He's trying to joke around like he always does, but there's also a hint of genuine worry in his voice. Infinite's usually hard to fluster, let alone throw off completely like this. Something is clearly wrong here. Infinite hesitates, his mouth opening and closing uselessly a few times before he actually manages to force out a weak, raspy sounding, "Fine, I'm fine." A blatant lie. It's clear he's still shaken by whatever just went down. He stands there in the doorway, still shaking and looking like a mess of a wreck, but he's doing his best to hide a stoic, indifferent expression. That doesn't fool Sonic for a second, though. He's known Infinite far too long to fall for the tough guy act. Nick doesn't buy it for a second. His smirk fades and he leans in slightly, mismatched eyes scanning Infinite with sharp concern. "Uh-huh. And I'm the Queen of England," he deadpans. "S'mon, spill it, what's got you looking like you just saw a ghost? Or, something way worse." His tone is light, but his gaze isn't joking anymore. He's dead serious now. He knows when to stop teasing, and this is one of those times. Infinite hesitates for a few more seconds, caught between wanting to spill and stubbornly clinging onto his stoic facade. He's stubborn and proud. He hates admitting weakness around others, especially Sonic of all people. But even he knows that he's not really fully fooling anyone here. It's written all over his face and in the way his hands still in spite of himself. Finally, he lets out a heavy, shaky sigh and looks away, speaking in a low, strained voice. "I need your help." Sonic's eyebrows shoot up at the tone of Infinite's voice. It's the first time he's ever heard him ask for help. Seriously, normally the guy is prideful as all hell and stubborn as a mule. The fact that he's even asking at all is more than a little worrying, especially combined with his overall state of distress. His playful expression vanishes in favor of a serious look. He crosses his arms, leaning one shoulder against the door frame, and nods. "All right, I'm listening. What's going on, bud?" As the story spills out, Sonic's expression goes from concerned to increasingly worried and alarmed. He listens in silence at first, his frown deepening with every word of Infinite's account. By the time Infinite is done speaking, Sonic's entire demeanor has changed completely. That ever-present, cocky smirk is long gone, replaced by a grim, serious expression that is almost uncharacteristic for him. "You're sure it was Nazo?" he asks finally, tone quiet and grave. He doesn't doubt Infinite's word, but the situation is too damn crazy to believe. Sonic's eyes darken still further as he processes the news report, a cold lump of dread settling in the pit of his stomach. It only confirms what he already feared. Everything Infinite has just said is likely true. Nazo is missing. He's clearly been possessed or influenced by some kind of hostile entity. And now he's somehow managed to level an entire town to the ground in a matter of minutes. "Damn," Sonic mutters under his breath, voice shaking with a strange mix of anger and fear. He turns to look at Infinite, who's still standing in the doorway and still looking like a complete total mess. His heart sinks in his chest upon seeing him. Infinite is tough, always cool and collected no matter the situation, but right now he's the very picture of a man on the brink of a nervous breakdown. Sonic takes a deep breath, trying to push down the rising sense of panic and keep his voice steady. After a moment of tense silence, he finally speaks up again, tone stern and serious. "We need to find Nazo."